Ladies and gentlemen, the story of the Pink Gorilla! It happened that one year a mad scientist had an invention that went awry, and he created a pink gorilla. The little boy in the neighborhood heard of the pink gorilla and had to see it. He goes to the mad scientist's house. He runs up on the porch and knocks at the door. Sir, can I see the pink gorilla? No! No one is to ever see the pink gorilla. And no one is to ever touch him. Have you ever been told you could not do something and that made you want to do it even more? The little boy said, I have got to see him. And so he hid in the bushes and waited till the mad scientist left the house. And then he ran up on the porch. He turned the doorknob. It was unlocked. He pushed. The door was open. As he walked into the house, he passed by the door and could not help but notice the door. Look at the size of that door! That door was that thick! You don't see doors that thick every day, you know. And the door closed. As he was walking around in the living room, he noticed there was a piece of carpet that had been laid aside. Look at the size of that carpet! That carpet was that thick! You don't see carpet that thick every day, you know? And under where the carpet had been lying was a trap door. And he pulled and pulled and pulled and the door opened. Look at the size of that trap door. That door was that thick. You don't see doors that thick every day, you know? And he looked down, and it went down into the basement. There was a ladder that went down, and as he went down, he noticed the rungs on that ladder. Look at the size of the rungs on this ladder. Help me out. Those rungs were that thick. You don't see rungs that thick every day, you know? When he got down to the basement, it was a very dark room. As he walked away from the light shining through the trap door, he walked into darkness until he came to a dead end. Nothing but a concrete wall. His hands, feeling over the wall, suddenly moved a block, and the wall opened. Look at the size of that wall! That wall was that thick! You don't see walls that thick every day, you know? And he walked through, and the wall closed behind him. As he continued walking down the darkened hallway, he came to iron bars, an iron bar wall with an iron bar door. Look at the size of those iron bars! Those bars were that thick! You don't see bars that thick every day, you know? A key was hanging on the wall. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. It sprung closed behind him. As he continued walking down the hallway, there was a long, narrow corridor, and he came to a steel door within a steel wall. He looked for a key. He found it, unlocked the door, and pushed, and it was so heavy, and he pushed, and pushed, and pushed, and barely it began to move. Look at the size of that steel door. That door was that thick. You don't see doors that thick every day, you know? And it closed and locked behind him. And he found himself in a dimly lit room. a light bulb hanging from the ceiling, casting shadows through the room. And in the corner, a box. And over the box, a blanket. Look at the size of that blanket. That blanket was that thick. You don't see blankets that thick every day, you know. And he pulled and pulled and pulled. It was so heavy, and pulled until it fell to the floor with a plop. And dust flew into the air. Look at the size of that dust. That dust was that thick. You don't see dust that thick every day, you know. And there it was, the cage. And in the cage, a pink gorilla. Ah! The cage rattled. He noticed the bars on the cage. Look at the bars on that cage. Those bars were that thick. You don't see bars that thick every day, you know. Ah! The pink gorilla jumped up and down. Oh, he could feel his heart pounding within him. The little boy was so scared. Look at the size of those legs. Those legs were that thick. You don't see legs that thick every day, you know. And the boy thought, the mad scientist said no one should ever see the pink gorilla. But he sees him. And the mad scientist said no one should ever touch the pink gorilla. I've got to touch him. And he eased closer and closer. The pink gorilla was breathing more heavily. And he got closer and closer and closer and closer. Until the boy reached his arms through the bars of the cage. The pink gorilla was very still. And he reached through the bars of the cage, and the boy touched the pink gorilla. All of a sudden, the pink gorilla started jumping up and down. He reached up, grabbed the bar, and bent it. He reached up and grabbed the bar. He bent those bars. Those bars were that thick. You don't see bars that thick every day, you know. And the pink gorilla stepped out. The little boy's heart started pounding. He knew he needed to get out of that room. He ran to the steel door, quickly pulled it open, and ran through, and the door closed and locked behind him. He sighed a sigh of relief. But all of a sudden, a hand came through the steel door. Another hand came through the steel door. A head came through the steel door. The whole body came through the steel door. He came through that steel door. That door was that thick. You don't see doors that thick every day, you know. Boy ran, and quickly he ran to the iron bar wall with the iron bar door, opened it and closed it. Did that stop the pink gorilla? No. When he got to the door, he grabbed the door, snatched it off the hinges, and threw it down the hallway behind him. Ah! He tore that bar off its hinges. That iron bar door was that thick. You don't see iron bar doors that thick every day, you know. And he ran. Quickly, he ran to the concrete wall. The wall opened, the wall closed. But did that stop the pink gorilla? He hit it like a freight train. And when he hit it so hard, it powdered into itsy bitsy pieces. Ah! The pink gorilla, he's strong. The boy ran to the ladder, and up the ladder he goes. And the pink gorilla right behind him. Every time he stepped on the rungs of a ladder, it bent. He bent those rungs. Those rungs were that thick. You don't see rungs that thick every day, you know. And the little boy ran out the front door. And running down the street, he knew he could outrun the pink gorilla. The pink gorilla was right behind him. And the little boy jumped in a car and drove off. He's only 8 years old. 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. Pink gorilla right behind him. He's strong. He heavy. He fast. 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. Pink gorilla right behind him. Until the pink gorilla reaches out and grabs the bumper of the car and stops it. And picks it up. And shakes it until the little boy falls out. And then he throws the car away. Little boy's heart's pounding so bad now. He knows he can't outrun him. He sees a tree. He thinks, I'll climb the tree. Certainly the pink gorilla won't climb the tree. He runs to the tree, and up the tree he goes. And the pink gorilla right behind him. Little boy climbs higher. Pink gorilla right behind him. Until there's nowhere to go. Little boy's heart's pounding. There's a limb. He thinks, I'll go out on the limb. Surely the pink gorilla won't come on the limb. But he does. The pink gorilla. He big. He's strong. He heavy. He agile too. And the little boy eases out on the limb. And the limb begins to bend. And the pink gorilla. The little boy can feel the heat from the pink gorilla. And finally the little boy has nowhere to go. And the pink gorilla reaches out his hands and touches the boy and says, Tag, you're it now. The story of the pink